In a pretty little park stood a lovely little lake. In that lake swam a sad little duck, all alone. There were no swans, there were no geese, there were no pelicans. Just one little duck, all alone. With no one to talk to, and nothing to say but quack, 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 quack. One day, a little white rabbit came hopping through the park. He was thirsty, so he paused at the lake to get a drink. He folded his ears over his back carefully. He bent down and sipped the water slowly, like this. He was so genteel. He leaned back, cocked his head, wrinkled his pink nose, and sniffed. So the duck swam over to greet him.
"Welcome to my lake,"
said the duck.
"What's your name?"
My name is Alvin.
"Alvin?"
Alvin.
"I'm pleased to meet you, Alvin. I put my right foot in, I put my right foot out, I wiggle my back and I quack, 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 and I turn myself about. I wiggle my back and I quack, 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 and I turn myself about. My name is Luke."
Luke the duck, Alvin laughed. What a silly name. And what an ugly voice.
What's wrong with my voice?
It's too quacky. It's not smooth. And he hopped away, leaving the duck all alone, with no one to talk to, and nothing to say but quack, 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 quack. One day, a brown deer came down to the lake. He too was thirsty, so he too paused to drink. He was so proud, he was so haughty, he was so aristocratic. His branchy antlers spread out like pointing fingers above his head. When he bent down to drink, he lapped and slapped the water like this. Then he straightened his proud neck, turned his haughty head, and cleared his aristocratic nose like this. So Luke swam over to greet him.
"Welcome to my lake. What's your name?"
My name is Marvin.
"Marvin. That's a pretty name. I'm pleased to meet you, Marvin. I put my right foot in, I put my right foot out, I wiggle my back and I quack, 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 and I turn myself about. My name is Luke."
Luke the duck. What an odd name, and what an unpleasant voice, too.
What's wrong with my voice?
It's too quacky. It's not smooth. And off he leaped, leaving the duck all alone. One day, two very strange creatures came to the lake. What an odd pair they were. One was a tall, skinny thing. He stood higher than a tree. And what a neck! His neck went up, 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 up into the sky. It was as long as all the long necks in the world put together. And his body was covered with spots. Imagine it. There he stood, as high as the sky, with spots, 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 spots all over him. He was eating the tops of trees.
What in the world is that?
Thought Luke. It was a giraffe. But Luke didn't know that. How could he? He had never seen a giraffe. And the giraffe's friend, he was just the opposite. He was fat, so fat, so wide and fat, so black and fat. Such a long, fat head, and a wide, fat body, and short, fat legs. He was as fat as a barrel, and as fat as a mountain, and as fat as a tub of butter, and as fat as everything fat in the world put together. Of course, you know what he was. A hippopotamus. The tall, skinny thing and the big, fat thing came down to the water. Luke swam over to greet them. Then the big, fat thing waddled into the water and blew his nose. He opened his mouth as big as a barn and showed his teeth as fat as your arm. Do you mind if I take a bath?
You're very welcome. Enjoy yourself.
Thanks, said the big fat thing, and he went under the water. He stayed under a long time. Luke was beginning to get frightened.
Goodness gracious!
He said to the tall, skinny thing,
What has happened to your friend? Is he trying to drown himself?
Just then the big fat thing came up for air. Again he blew his nose. Feels good.
What's your name?
Hugo.
Hugo?
Yes?
That's a pretty name. I'm pleased to meet you, Hugo.
Gee, thanks. What's your name?
I put my right foot in. I put my right foot out. I wiggle my back and I quack, 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 and I turn myself about. My name is Luke.
That's a good name. A very good name.
Do you really think so?
Of course. Luke is the best possible name for a duck. Luke the duck goes together.
What's your friend's name?
Him? Just call him George.
Well, George doesn't speak to me. Is he bashful?
No, he's not bashful. He can't speak. No voice. Show him, George. George opened his mouth. There was no sound. You see, nothing comes out. No voice.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, it's quite all right. He doesn't mind it. George dances very well, and we have lots of fun together. Now, my dear Luke, would you care to hear me sing?
What can you sing?
Mostly African songs such as Oh, Give Me Home, Where the Elephants Roam.
I never heard of that.
Then there's Way Down Upon the Congo River.
Will we always sing way down upon the Swanee River.
That's a different song.
I know. Please sing something, huh?
Pardon me. I shall now sing the African sailor's dance. First you learn how to walk, then you learn how to waddle, then you learn how to swim and to sing. Hey-ho, waddle in the water, paddle in the river. Hi-ho for the life of a sailor. And now you sing it.
I can't do...
You mean,
Uh-huh.
I'll sing that part for you. 1, 2, 3. First,
You learn how to walk, then you learn how to waddle, then you learn how to swim and to sing. Quack, quack, waddle in the water. Thank you. Paddle in the river. Thanks again. I hope for the life of a sailor. What do you think of my voice?
I like it.
But don't you think it's a little quacky?
So what? I don't trust an animal whose voice is too smooth.
You don't? Oh, I'm so happy. Let's all be friends.
Let's.
George, too?
Sure, George, too. I speak for both of us.
Oh, you go. I love you. You beautiful you go.
You embarrass me. So they all three lived in the pretty little park, in the lovely little lake, without swans, without geese, without pelicans, just by themselves. And George said nothing, and Hugo said, and Luke said, quack, quack, and that's the last I ever heard of them.